Hello.
Hello, sir.
Yes, is everybody back?
Yeah, we are here.
Oh, okay. So let's continue. Can you still see the slides?
Yes, please.
Oh, okay. So we're going to look at authentic leadership now. So authentic leadership basically focuses on whether leadership is genuine and real. So in recent times, a lot of people have become interested in um, authentic leadership because of scandals over unethical behavior on the part of many businesses, corporations, as well as politicians. The tendency for these businesses, corporations, and then politicians to abuse their power has led to a hike in the interest for authentic leadership. So people these days want leaders who can be trusted to do what they say or to do what is right. So it's more trustworthy leaders. Um, Authentic leadership might appear to simple, might be appear to be simple to define, but in reality, scholars have been unable to agree on exactly what constitutes authentic leadership. There tend to be different types of different approaches to defining authentic leadership. And if you go through the literature, you'll find three approaches to defining three on how to define what constitutes authentic leadership. So we have the intrapersonal perspective, then the interpersonal perspective, as well as the developmental perspective. Now let's look at these individual perspectives and what they constitute. The intrapersonal perspective tends to focus closely on the leader and what goes on within the leader. It incorporates the leader's self-knowledge, self-regulation, and then self-concept. So the claim is that authentic leaders are supposed to exhibit genuine leadership, and they are supposed to lead from conviction and are originals and not photocopies. This perspective emphasizes on a leader's life experiences and the meaning he or she attaches to those experiences as being critical to the development of the authentic leader. So we see that more often than not, when people want to go to public office, people tend to want to dissect their personal lives to see exactly what they have, the experiences they have gathered, or how they have handled certain situations in their personal lives. So, do you think that it's a worthwhile exercise to try to examine the personal lives of our leaders or people who seek to occupy public offices? Should we do that? Can it tell us whether a person will be an authentic leader, or whether the person will be a good or effective leader? If we want to, should we seek to examine what's the personal life of such people? Hello.
Hi.
Yes. So I'm asking a question. Any contributions? Okay, so let me put it this way. Let's say um, somebody has marital issues. Is that um, does that give a signal whether the person will be a good leader or an effective leader or ineffective leader? Is it important that the person who is seeking to occupy public office has an impeccable personal history? Should we hold people accountable because they have marital issues at home?
think you can't give what you don't have. You can
Oh,
only pretend for so long, and eventually it will actually come out. So really, authentic leadership is very, very important. I mean, you can try to manage it, officially or outwardly, but eventually what is inside will come out when you're under pressure. And so I think it's very important as much as possible we develop from the inside out, and therefore being authentic in our personal lives so that, integrity will be, exhibited here. Who you are inside is who you actually show forth outside. And then you believe in your normal self instead of trying to, play some facade. So I think that it would be good to look at, authenticity here. And for that matter, integrity. Yeah.
okay. So if somebody is seeking to public office, we should be able to say, to find out whether they have been successful in their own personal life, in their businesses, and then in their family life. Is that what you are saying? Is it a good indicator of whether or not they will be authentic when they are given public office? Yeah, Clement.
Yeah, I'm thinking.
Oh, okay.
I also hello.
Hey, George.
Yeah, I also support what Clement is saying, because your first point of call is your marital home. That's the minor place that you can show your leadership.
Oh,
If you fail in that very aspect, then it means you can't manage the larger group. So if you are not successful here, then you cannot be an authentic leader to lead the majority.
oh, okay.
That's the way I'm looking at it. Yeah.
We need to be careful that somebody who has a failed marriage, because relationship is not only about one person. Like they say, it takes two to tango. So the fact that somebody is coming from a failed marriage does not necessarily mean he or she was at fault for the failure of that marriage.
Yeah. So,
Yes,
in
so,
addition, whatever been the situation or the circumstance that confronted you in that very environment, you must be able to at least rescue and rectify it. Do you see it?
yeah.
Well, it will not be coming from you or it's coming from the partner. That makes you a leader to see a solution to that very problem. So if you couldn't solve that very problem and go out of hand, thinking that because it is not coming from you, it's a clear signal that if you come to the larger public and somebody is going astray, somebody is doing something wrong, you will not be in position to rectify or give a solution to those situations that will arise. So to me, it can make you an authentic person to lead that very larger public.
Oh, okay. Thank you, George. Any other?
So the question you asked as to whether if a person, does it mean if a person is able to, maybe manage his home and all that. I'm looking at it from the person's personal life first.
Yes.
Okay. The person's personal, his persona, his values, his ethics,
Yeah.
what controls him. Those are the aspects I'm looking at first.
Okay.
Before looking at his surroundings. Okay, like you rightly said, it may not be any fault of his for his marriage to have collapsed. He, as a person, might have done all the possible best, but like the marriage collapse, fine. In that case, it's not his making. It doesn't mean the person has not got character. I'm actually looking at it this way. The person in context here, has he got character? Has he got integrity? Has he got the right values and ethics? You get the point. That's what I'm referring to. So my point is, if he has these values and ethics, okay, he can easily live it out as a way of life. He will not be pretending. You get the point.
Okay.
He will not be So, like, if the person is not so, and for that matter, it's not authentic, it's a matter of time. It will show forth. Sometimes, even after he has come on leadership and left, or even died, before the things start actually coming out, you get a point. So, but if the person is authentic and then was living his private life just as a public life, I mean, not necessarily, not that he has so got a private life, but like his lifestyle, who he is out is who he is in. That's what I'm talking about. It will definitely affect. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much, Clarence. Isaac, do you want to say something? Make a contribution? Okay, Isaac. Okay. Yes, to a large extent, I agree with both of you, Clemens and then George, because more often than not, when people seek to occupy a public office, we have little to go by in order to determine whether they are genuine, what they promise that they will do when they are given, when we entrust our resources to them, or when we make them our leaders, if they will do what they promise to do. So I think that one where we can start from to determine whether somebody will be an effective leader, somebody will be a good leader, whether it will be authentic, we could look at the personal experiences of such a person. That is what we have to go by. Beyond that, what we have is promises and then counter promises. That might not be enough to give us an indication of whether or not somebody will be a good leader. The values that people have in their personal lives are values that, like Clement said, when they come to public office, it will definitely show. If somebody is unable, is unable to manage a small business, how can we entrust our whole economy to such a person? If somebody, let's say somebody mismanaged some funds that he was entrusted with, or let's say it could even be a small group, let's say at the church level, an organization within the church entrust him with some funds, and then he mismanages such funds. Can we not say that when the person is larger resources, he's more likely to mismanage such resources as well? So I think the interpersonal life of an individual can give us an indication of whether or not such people will be genuine leaders or not. Is that okay?
Yes, please.
Okay, let's look at the second perspective. The second perspective looks at the interpersonal definitions. This perspective tends to outline authentic leadership as relational, which is created from the interaction between leaders and then their followers. It results not only from the leaders' efforts alone, but also from the response that followers give. So authenticity here is a reciprocal process between leaders which affect followers, and then the follower will also affect the leader. And that's okay.
Yes, please.
So this basically says that a leader needs to be able to develop good relationship with his followers. A leader who is unable to develop and then retain good relationship can hardly lead, because you will be unable to determine what your followers, what their values are. And if you are not able to do this, then how will you be able to resolve or to help these people to realize the goals that they seek, or the goals that they need to achieve in their lives? Is that okay? Okay, then let's look at the third definitions. These are the developmental definitions, and this perspective tends to view authentic leadership as something that can be nurtured in a leader rather than a fixed trait. So, per these definitions, authentic leadership develops in a person over a lifetime and can be triggered by some major life events, such as a new career, or an accident, or a severe illness. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay, so this developmental authentic leadership perspective underpins the two main approaches to authentic leadership. Now let's look at what these two main approaches are. So the two main approaches to authentic leadership include the practical approach and then the theoretical approach. The practical approach evolved from real life examples and trainings and the development literature, whereas the theoretical approach based on findings from social science research. So now let's look at what constitutes the practical approach to leadership. So there are two main practical approaches, but for our purpose here, we will discuss developed by that's developed by George Bill in 2003. So the practical approach developed by George focuses on the essential qualities of authentic leadership and how individuals can develop these qualities if they want to become leaders. So for George, authentic leadership is something that we can attain and it's practical. Practical in the sense that he's able to list the qualities that you need to be an authentic leader. So if you want to be an authentic leader, the qualities that you need to develop are a sense of purpose, strong values, trust and relationship with others, and then you should also act upon the values of your followers, and then you should also be sensitive to your followers and then to other people. Is that okay? Hello. I hope you're not sleeping.
No, yes.
No, sir.
No, sir.
So the practical approach developed by George Bill talks about purpose, values, relationship, self-discipline, and heart. And these are related to some characteristics. So passion is related to passion, and then values, behavior, and then connection, relationship is the connectedness that the leader needs to have with his followers. And then self-discipline means that the leader needs to be consistent. If the leader believes this is right, then he has to be consistent all the time. And then to do that, he should not deviate from what he believes in. And then the leader needs to have heart. That means he needs to have compassion for the plight of other people. Is that okay?
Yes, please.
Okay, so let's look at these individual qualities one after the other. We start with the sense of purpose. So authentic leaders know what they are about and where they are going or where they want to get the group to. So in addition to knowing what their purpose, these authentic leaders are intrinsically motivated by their goals. That is, they are passionate individuals. They are passionate individuals who have a deep-seated interest in what they are doing and truly care about their work. So they are passionate about what they seek to achieve, which makes it easier for people to follow them because they know what they want to achieve and then they are passionate about it. And this passion will be clearly seen by. Is that okay? So what we're saying is that to be an authentic leader, one needs to have a real sense of purpose. You need to be passionate about what you believe in and what you want to lead your group. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
So secondly, to be an authentic leader, George says that a leader needs to understand their own values and then behave towards others based on these values. So the authentic leader has a clear idea of who they are, where they are going, and what the right thing is to do. So when tested in difficult situations, the authentic leader will not deviate from these values, but rather will use this difficult situation as an opportunity to strengthen these values. These authentic leaders do not deviate or will not compromise their values because a difficult situation has arisen, but he'll use that difficult situation as an opportunity to demonstrate to his followers that his values are not, he does not just pay lip service to the values that he claims to hold, but that these values are things that are really dear to his heart, and that no matter what happens, he will not deviate from them. Is that okay?
Yes, please.
Yes. So if somebody claims to be incorruptible, we should not find that because he had a family problem, because his wife or his child was sick, he was forced to take a bribe in order to take care of his family problems. That shows that the person doesn't really believe in the values that he seeks to, he claims to espouse. Is that okay?
Yes, please.
Okay. Thirdly, to be an authentic leader, one needs to be able to maintain strong relationships. So authentic leaders have the capacity to be open. They open themselves up and then establish a connection with others. So they are willing to share their own life stories with others. And then they also listen to the stories of others. This leads to the development of trust between the leader and his followers. Because of a mutual disclosure, leaders and supporters develop a sense of trust and closeness. Is that okay?
Yes, please.
Okay. And then the authentic leader also needs self-discipline. This self-discipline gives the leader focus and then determination. It gives the authentic leader the energy to carry out the work in accordance to values that the leader holds dear to his or her heart. Is that okay? Of course, we all recognize that in every aspect of life, whether a person is in leadership, one needs to have self-discipline. And this is especially so if one seeks to lead others or one finds he or her in a position of trust, in a position where he's supposed to lead and help them to achieve the goals, the common goals. Is that okay? And then finally, George says that, according to George, to be an authentic leader, one needs to have compassion and to have heart. So the authentic leader needs to be sensitive to the plight of others. He needs to open he or herself to others and be willing to help them. So in order to develop compassion, one can start by getting to know others' life stories, doing community service, being involved in other ethnic groups. So generally, if you travel around, if you go out of your own comfort zone, then you get to appreciate what people need, and then you will be compassionate with the needs of others. If you were born and brought up in a privileged neighborhood, you probably will not understand the struggles that other people have to undergo on a daily basis. So if you travel around the country or your community, you get to know that it is not everywhere that we have roads, good roads, or even roads at all. It is not everywhere that communication and transportation and everyday aspects of life. You might be surprised to find that there are communities in Ghana where a car goes to the nearest town only once in a week. So if you don't have any experience of these things, it will be difficult for you to relate to people who have such needs or desires. Is that okay?
Yes, please.
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. So now let's look at the theoretical approach to leadership. Any questions so far before we move to the next approach? Any questions or contributions, comments? Okay, and let's look at a theoretical approach to authentic leadership. So this theoretical approach to authentic leadership conceptualizes leadership as a pattern of the leader's behavior that develops and is grounded in the leader's positive psychological qualities and then strong ethics. We'll discuss what these psychological qualities constitute. So Walumbwa and others developed this theoretical approach, and they suggest that authentic leadership is composed of 4 distinct but related components: self-awareness, internalized moral perspective, balanced processing, and relational transparency. So the claim is that over lifetime, the authentic leaders learn and develop each of these 4 types of behavior, and it is what helps them to be authentic. Is that okay?
Yes.
So let's look at what these 4 factors are about. So to begin with, self-awareness. This is the personal insight of the leader. It's a process in which individuals come to understand themselves. So they become aware of what their strengths are and what their weaknesses are, and then the impact that they can have on others. How far can they influence people to achieve goals that they have set for themselves? If you know what your strengths and your weaknesses are, then you know exactly what you can do and what you are incapable of doing. And for that matter, you will not promise something that you cannot do. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
And then the second factor is the internalized moral perspective. This refers to a self-regulatory process whereby individuals use their internal moral standards and values to guide their behavior rather than to allow outside pressures to control them. So individuals with internalized moral perspectives others will normally see these leaders because their actions are consistent with their expressed beliefs and then their morals. Is that okay?
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Okay. So let's look at the balance process, and this refers to an individual's ability to analyze information objectively and to explore other people's opinions before making a decision. So basically what this means is that a leader who is able to, who have balanced processing, is able to listen to the concerns of others, the values, the concerns of others, and as a result, you'll be able to process this before he can make a decision on exactly what the group should be doing, or what it will be, before he defines the goal of the group, before he sets out the path to which the group should take in order to achieve that specified goal. So leaders with balanced processing are seen as authentic because they are open about their own perspectives, but then they are also objective in considering the perspectives of their followers. Is that okay?
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
And then finally, we have what is known as the relational transparency. This refers to being open and honest in presenting one's true self to others. So relational transparency occurs when individuals share their core feelings, motives, and inclination with others in an appropriate manner. So a person with relational transparency will not only portray positive aspects of his life, but then he will be transparent enough with his followers to let them know his weaknesses and then his faults. He doesn't only seek to let followers know what he's capable of, but then he also let them in on what his weaknesses are, what his failings have been. Because once individuals know what he's capable of, then what they will not expect what he cannot do. Because more often than not, people expect their leaders to perform magic, because these same leaders will, when they are on the campaign trail or when they are seeking to become leaders, will promise that they can move heaven and earth for them. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
So any questions or contributions? So what we have discussed so far are the factors that are important in becoming an authentic, important in authentic leadership: the self-awareness, internalized moral perspective, balanced processing, and then relational transparency. In addition to this, what is called a positive psychological. Just a minute. So in addition to this, the authentic leader needs to have what is known as positive psychological capabilities. And then the authentic leader also needs moral reasoning. So the person who has these positive psychological capabilities and moral reasoning, when he is faced with a critical life event, it enables him to become an authentic leader. So let's look at what these positive psychological capabilities, and then the moral reasoning, and then critical life events are. We are able to help individuals become authentic leaders. So we begin by looking at the positive psychological capabilities. So this includes confidence, hope, resilience, and then optimism. So confidence refers to having self-efficacy. They believe that one has the ability to successfully accomplish a specified task. So leaders who have confidence are likely to be motivated to succeed. They are persistent, even in the face of obstacles, and then they welcome a challenge because they are able to, they know that no challenge is too daunting for them to overcome. And as a result, people who have confidence, leaders who exude confidence, followers are naturally attracted to leaders who exude confidence because they know that they can be counted upon to complete a task and then overcome any challenge that will come up. Is that okay? Are you still with me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, here. Don't worry.
I'm not worried. I was worried people are sleeping up also.
No, we are okay.
Okay. So the second.
Yeah, we are here. Don't worry.
Okay.
We are here. Don't worry. Eh?
Okay, I will not worry again.
Oh, we are here.
Yeah. Mr. Dick. Okay, so the second positive psychological capacity is hope. This is a positive motivational state based on willpower and then goal planning. So authentic leaders with hope have goals they know that can be accomplished. They hope that these leaders have inspired followers to trust them and then to believe in their goals. Nobody will follow somebody who has no hope of accomplishing what he or she sets out to do. But people who have hope are able to inspire others to come along with them on their journey to accomplish the common task of the group. You're okay.
Yes, please.
Then optimism. This refers to the cognitive process of viewing situations from a positive light and having favorable expectations about what the future holds. So leaders with optimism are positive about their capabilities and then the outcome that they can achieve. So these leaders are optimistic that whatever goals the group have or what goals have been set before them are things that they can overcome. Is that okay?
Yes, please.
And then the final positive psychological capability is resilience. The leader needs to be resilient. That is the capacity to recover from and adjust to adverse situations. So it will include the capability to positively adapt to hardship. And then during difficult times, leaders with resilience are able to bounce back from challenging situations, and then they will feel strengthened and more resourceful as a result of these challenges. People who have been able to overcome difficult times and then trying situations are more optimistic. Then they also know they have the confidence and then they have the hope that whatever difficulty comes up, they will be able to overcome it again. That's okay.
Yes, please.
Okay. Now let's look at moral reasoning capabilities. So moral reasoning is a capacity to make ethical decisions about issues of right or wrong, or good or bad. So higher levels of moral reasoning enable leaders to be selfless and then to make judgments that serve the greater group of the group, the community, or the organization. So people with higher moral reasoning are not self-consumed about their self-interest. They are not only interested in serving their own interests, but rather in helping the group as a whole to achieve the common interest. Is that okay? So the moral reasoning capacity will enable a leader to use their abilities and then the resources that have been made available to them to promote justice and achieve a higher cause and what is right for the community as a whole. Is that okay?
Yes, please.
So our leaders, an authentic leader needs to have higher moral reasoning. He needs to be concerned about achieving that which will serve the good and then the interests of society as a whole, in contrast to things that will serve his or her own needs or family or his immediate friends and then relatives. Now let's look at the final factor in the model, which is the critical life effects. The claim is that these critical life effects are major events that normally shape people's lives. They can be positive events like receiving an unexpected promotion, having a child, or even reading an important book. Or they can be negative events like being diagnosed with cancer, getting a negative end of year evaluation, or losing a loved one. So these critical events can act as a catalyst for change. So when somebody has a positive life event, like somebody has a first child, then the person might realize that it's time for me to become a matured person. It's time for me to take things more seriously. Or when somebody is diagnosed with a serious condition, the person might realize that the life that I've probably led me here, and it's time for me to change the course that I've been treading. It's time for me to become more more accountable to myself and then to others and society as a whole. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
So now let's see how the authentic leadership theory works. But so far, any questions on how this critical life, moral reasoning, the psychological capabilities, and then the 4 factors are able to inform authentic leadership? Okay, now let's look at what's authentic leadership, how it works. So the practical approach, the one we looked, the one developed by George, provide prescriptions on how to be authentic and how to develop authentic leadership. It spells out the qualities that one needs to develop if one wants to be an authentic leader. So the practical approach also focuses on the 5 characteristics leaders should develop in order to become authentic. That is, they need to have a purpose. They need to be value-centered. They need to have they need to be relational. They need to have good relationship with their followers and with others. They also need to be self-disciplined and then to be compassionate. They need to be able to understand the struggle that other people go through and be compassionate as a result. Is that okay? So according to the practical approach, the essence of authentic leadership is being a leader who strongly with these 5 qualities. If you want to become an authentic leader, these are the 5 qualities that George prescribes for you to seek to develop, learn, and then develop over time so that you'll be authentic. Is that okay?
Please, can you kindly go over this particular one?
Oh, okay. So, per the practical approach, George sets out some core qualities. You to be authentic, you have a purpose. The authentic leader has a real sense of purpose. He knows what he wants to do. He knows where he wants to go to and how to get there. Then he also have core values. So whatever he does is informed by the values that he believes in. He does not deviate these values in the face of difficulty, but he uses the difficulty as an opportunity to demonstrate his to and the values that he holds. And then the authentic leader also have, if you want to be authentic, you need to have good relationship with your followers and then people around you. You also need to be self-disciplined. Self-disciplined in the sense that the values that you hold, you do not compromise or you do not deviate from them. And then you also need to be compassionate. Compassion meaning that you need to, first and foremost, you need to the plight of other people, and as a result, you need to be able to, you need to feel for what other people are going through, and then to, if you feel for them, then you'll be able to help them overcome the difficulties that they go through. So in essence, according to George and the practical approach, authentic leadership is being a leader who strongly demonstrates these 5 qualities. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, please. Oh, okay. Okay, now let's go on. So authentic leadership also emphasizes the development of qualities that help leaders to be perceived as trustworthy and then believable by their followers. So to be an authentic leader, the leader's job is to learn these qualities and then apply them to the common good that he or she seeks to serve. She seeks to serve others. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and let's look at some of the strengths of authentic leadership. So, one, it fulfills and expressed a need for trustworthy leadership in society. So, like we said earlier, the recent scandals in businesses, in large corporations around the world, in political leadership by political leaders have led to the calls and then the demand by many for trustworthy leadership. So authentic leadership comes in to fill this demand. So authentic leadership helps to fill the void and provides an answer to people who are searching for good and sound leadership in an uncertain world. Is that okay? Is the first point okay? Do you get the fact that authentic leadership seeks to fill the void and the demand that people have as a result of the fact that as a result of frequent reportage of scandals by large corporations, by business people, and by political leaders. Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
So should we go to the next strength of authentic leadership? So by the mere of the fact that authentic leadership is able to spell out the exact guidelines for individuals who want to be authentic leadership, that can be considered as a strength. It's if you make yourself conversant with the literature on authentic leadership, you know the exact guidelines, the exact things you need to do if you want to become authentic. Unlike other approaches that we have seen, which tends to be unclear, and then some which claim that leadership is inborn. And for that matter, if you are not born with these qualities, you can't be a good leader. Authentic leadership says that leadership is something that we can learn. And then it also goes the extra mile of specifying broad guidelines that we can follow if we want to become authentic leaders. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
then thirdly, similar to transformational leadership, authentic whose laptop is going on? Just similar to the previous approach that we looked at, that is transformational leadership. Authentic leadership has an explicit moral dimension. So an alliance with the practical and theoretical approach is the idea that authenticity requires leaders to do what is right and good for their followers and for society. We saw the moral reasoning, and then we saw the fact that leaders need to be transparent, and then they need to do that which is good for the larger community, the larger society, rather than that which is self-serving or that which serves a leader and his family or his close associates alone. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
So, finally, authentic leadership emphasizes that authentic values and behaviors can be developed in a leader over time. That is another strength of this approach. Leadership is not limited to a privileged few, but it is something that anybody who is willing to learn or anybody who is willing to take up a leadership mantle can nurture, something that he can learn and develop over time in order to become authentic or to be considered by his followers to be an authentic leader. Is that okay? Hello.
Yes, sir.
So what are some of the
Yes, sir.
So what are some of the possible weaknesses that you think that this approach has? What are some of the criticisms that you can raise against this approach? You know that when you, especially at this level, when you discuss an approach or a theory or any concept that you are asked to give opinion on, it is critical that you not only agree with what the theory is saying, but then you are able to raise some criticisms against it. Because by and large, there's no perfect concept, there's no perfect theory. Every theory tends to have weaknesses. And the only way that we can make a contribution to these concepts or to literature in general is to be able to criticize what we are taught or what scholars have previously already written on. So what are some of the possible weaknesses you see of this approach?
I think it will be quite challenging and difficult to measure levels of authenticity, you know? I mean, as to whether somebody has been authentic. And so that's what I'm looking at. How feasible would that be in terms of the measurement, in terms of the assessment? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think that might be a problem. But on the other hand, because it spells out the things that the leader needs to do to be authentic, that might be the starting point. That might be. But the problem might be that is it possible to measure these qualities, these individual qualities, or these qualities that authentic leader? I mean, this George and then others say that it's a definition of what authentic leadership is about. So, for instance, the moral reasoning, transparency. Of course, until we know otherwise, how do we know that somebody is transparent? It only becomes obvious when the person has fallen short or the person has done it. So what I'm trying to say is that until somebody has committed a scandal or somebody has found he or herself in a scandal, it might be difficult to tell whether the person is being authentic. I mean, is being transparent with us. So any other possible weaknesses? Do you want to go already? I said, do you want to go already?
We want to go, as in close the class.
Yeah, we're almost done. So I thought
No.
we're having a nice time. So or you guys cannot get away from here. I know we get away from here.
Oh, say.
I'm not the only one who's enjoying myself.
Oh no, sir. We are enjoying you.
Yeah, we are enjoying, say.
Then let's contribute to
Yeah,
that.
yeah, because we are enjoying. That is why we are quiet. Listening.
Yes. Exactly.
You know, when you go to the cinema, you go to somewhere when you're enjoying yourself, this will be lively. Okay, now let's look at some of the weaknesses of this approach. So it's one of the newest approaches to leadership, and as a result, it's still in its formative stages of development. And then a lot of questions still need to be addressed about the theory. And then secondly, the moral component of authentic leadership is not fully explained. We are only to look out for something, but exactly what it constitutes seems to be not fully explained as yet. And then thirdly, whereas authentic leadership implies that leaders are motivated by higher order end values such as justice and community, the way these values function to influence authentic leadership is clear. So we're told that to be authentic, the leader needs to seek to achieve their values and then to achieve goals that serve the good of community as a whole. But then how these values influence the leader, we are not really told how that is done. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then finally, it is still not clear how authentic leadership results in positive organizational outcomes. The fact that somebody is being authentic doesn't mean that the person has the capacity to lead. Doesn't mean that the person has the capacity to steer the group, to steer followers towards achieving the goals, that's the common goals of the group. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, please. So any questions before we go, or any clarifications, contributions? Okay. So I know Mondays after work is really difficult. It's not a good time for a class, and most of you must be exhausted at this stage. So for that matter, although I'm enjoying myself, I'll let you go now so that we'll meet again next week.
Yeah. So please, you wait for the slides, the PowerPoint.
Send them right away.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
We all have this previous slide.
Pardon?
I hope everybody has the previous slides, all the previous slides.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So thank you all for joining us in this class, and I look forward to seeing you next week.
All right.
Okay,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
too.
Enjoy the rest.
Thank you, sir.
So thank you.
Bye.